So the Course teaches that God did not create this world. The ego had a part of the mind came up saying, what would it be like to be separate from God? And that what it says is the one crazy mad idea as to what to be separate, that thought then created the ego, which created this entire world.
Is that God did not create this world.
Nope.
This world is basically ego experiencing itself.
You nailed it. And so the primary energy from us being separate from our creator is guilt, which is the energy that sits in the deepest, deepest, deepest of all unconscious energies, which then would have resulted in what you described that happened to yourself.
Most people will tell you that love is the highest vibration. Dr. Divi built her entire spiritual mission around it. A former family doctor turned global healer, she believes divine love heals all and is the frequency we were born to remember. But I don't agree. Because without truth, love can become one of the most dangerous spiritual traps in existence. It can be hijacked, twisted, and weaponized, and you won't even see it happening until it's too late. So, this is perhaps not a feel-good conversation. This is the ultimate spiritual conversation where truth versus love are stripped down, challenged, and tested. Two frequencies enter the ring. Only one may walk out as the foundation for a sovereign new earth. Welcome, Dr. Divi, to the Spiritual Debate Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
This is, and we spoke about this a little bit earlier, arguably one of the most friction-pointed conversations in maybe all of the spiritual community.
100%.
So first, I would love a window into this belief system. How did you get to this belief system so I can explain how I got to mine?
A long journey.
How much time?
Yeah, exactly. It is really identifying that the thought systems we have, call it the ego, call it fear, don't serve us. Mm-hmm. And so what's behind the ego thought system is the divine. And we're not talking Divi, though that's what my name means. We're not talking Divi. We're talking the I am consciousness. Mm-hmm. That part that is not of the body, it only sits in the now and in the holy instant now, and that essence, that's love. And to be honest, we've all experienced it. Like when we watch a waterfall, when we watch a child, it's like that moment now, we hang out with our dogs. That's that now, and behind that now moment is love.
Did you always hold that perspective or belief?
God, no.
Okay, give me like the holy moment where you realized maybe you weren't living in the now and you got here where everything was I am the past and then you became the present. What led you to this ultimate truth?
So I was quite sick when I was in my 20s and 30s and then did a lot of yoga. And yoga would help, but if I didn't do yoga, then I was sick. So,
whoa.
Right. And so like pain would kick in again, you know, all those kinds of not so fun things. Then that's when I really dived into my mind and my thoughts. Like, what is this? And then when I would get quiet and get still, the pain would go. Then if I got really busy in my head or worrying or stressed, the pain would come. Pain is a big wake up.
Huh. So for you, the act of doing was not nearly enough. You were doing the things that you thought maybe should make you feel better. But when you got quiet, you realized that that wasn't the whole formula of just doing the things and hoping to connect. That actually when you started to do the deeper mindset work to still the mind, that's when you started to feel better.
100%. I used to run a yoga studio for about 10 years. And so, you know, it's what I'm doing for work. I practice yoga, I teach yoga, I'm in it. So it was great during that time.
Yeah.
Had a kid when we left that world. He was about 3 or 4 when we left the yoga world. Yep. And then the pain came back. And I can't practice 6 days a week when I have a kid. Impossible. I shouldn't say impossible. It's hard. Yeah. And that's when I just decided I have to commit to what it was that I felt when I practiced yoga. I must be able to find that off the yoga mat.
Isn't that really the same thing as meditation as well? That we can meditate, find tranquility, find peace, find detachment. But then if we step out of the practice and start yelling at our partner in a reactive state, then we missed the whole point of the practice itself, which is to be able to implement it into real life.
Exactly. Yeah.
So now, would you say that the frequency that you hold most of the time is this frequency of I am consciousness?
Try to.
Okay.
Try to. You know, stepping into that place of the infinite spirit, the divine, the universe, the I am.
Yeah.
It try to hold it. Like, it's not a try, but it's a relinquishing of the ego thought system.
Yep.
So that energy can step in.
So then paint me a picture. Sure. Your husband's pissing you off. All right. He did that thing that you knew was going to get under your skin. Walk me through how you hold what you know now in that moment.
So if I'm reactive, I'm reactive. I don't get mad at myself. It might be a shadow, an unconscious pattern. I'm mad, whatever. So there's a definition of the ego. The ego is simply the mental habit of identifying or labeling. So the minute that I identify that he's doing something wrong or I'm not safe, I'm not safe. I've got a wall up. So there's a point in the mind. Many books talk about how the kingdom of heaven is in your mind. So there's a place in my mind where if I'm willing to go there, I can find ease. So my husband's having a minute. Okay, let him have a minute. And if I'm in that place of spirit or unconditional love, then he can't touch me. I'm not defending myself. I'm not angry. He's having a minute. But maybe I don't even have to call it a minute because it's only the ego that labels it. Right? He just is.
So ideally, you address every moment where the ego would want to retaliate, the ego would want to identify something and try to come back to what it is, that it just is. And that is what it is. Now paint me a broader picture. And let's put this into perspective of the world, because this is where ultimately some of my belief systems start to kick in. Because in my journey, I was holding the I am to the best of my capacity, not trying, but sometimes trying. Sure. We were chatting before we began about kind of like the spiritual cocktail where you try all the different things and see which one makes me drunk and high and which one makes me puke and purge, and like which one is actually true transmutation and which one is of service. And I had found out at the end of 2022 that I had a significant experience with some darker spirits, let's call it that. And up until that point, I had no knowledge, no education about that, because I thought that I was holding the frequency of love. I truly thought that that's what it was. And my health was declining significantly. I had very significant suicidal ideations that were not mine, and I knew that. I had never wanted to harm or hurt myself, but then I had these thoughts that were kicking in. I had a lot of nightmares, and this was from some sort of external infiltration. Would it be true that perhaps there was a part of my unconscious that opened up the field? Of course. Was it also true that to make myself only a victim didn't serve me, but then to also not acknowledge that there was something outside of me also didn't feel like that was entirely true? And so this started my quest of, well, is love the most powerful vibration on earth? Or is truth? And so where I stand on that is, ultimately, I think in this dimension, we need to understand truth first. What is not our human truth, but what is the ultimate truth of what is happening on earth? Personally, I think we're experiencing polarity on earth. And in order to experience it, allow it, remove the ego from it, allow it to be processed, then I think we're truly being stewards of what I think this earth is. Not to say that we don't experience love, but I don't think that's the ultimate goal, because then I think we experience forms of bypassing where we're looking at what's happening in Gaza, but it's all love because it's all karma and it's all what's meant to be. We see what's happening with weather manipulation, how everything we have is poisoned around us, and think, oh, that's just a part of my unconscious that created these systems at play. There's some sort of passivity that, in my experience, and what I've seen mirrored in the spiritual community a lot of times, not all the time, of course, starts to kind of create maybe false love, or not my definition of how I would want to experience love, because I feel like it's devoid of truth. So that's my long-winded way of starting to open up this dialogue with you about the difference between divine love in your perspective and then where that becomes bypass and how you've navigated that in your journey.
Great question. So a couple things, and I'm a student of A Course in Miracles, which is very similar to Bhagavad Gita, different scriptures out there.
Yep.
And when I say student, I'm a big student. So a couple things about the Course that teaches us that whoever the creator is, God, essence, whatever word you use, that energy did not create this world.
That energy did not create this world. Okay.
Okay.
Continue.
So that energy,
Yeah.
so the theory or the teaching in that domain of thinking, and just for the listeners to hear, a lot of people have not heard of A Course in Miracles. Course in Miracles is a big text that was downloaded to the planet back in the 70s. And a lot of teachers, Wayne Dyer, Marianne Williamson, Gabby Bernstein, some of our favorites,
Yep.
they're all students of the Course.
Okay.
Okay. So the Course teaches that God did not create this world. The ego had this, a part of the mind came up saying, what would it be like to be separate from God?
Okay.
And that what it says is the one crazy, mad idea as to what to be separate, that thought then created the ego, which created this entire world.
So the premise here, just so I'm understanding, is that God did not create this world.
Nope.
This world is basically ego experiencing itself.
You nailed it.
Got it. Okay. I'm with you.
And so the primary energy from us being separate from our creator is guilt, which is the energy that sits in the deepest, deepest, deepest of all unconscious energies, which then would have resulted in what you described that happened to yourself.
Huh.
Got it?
Like the guilt of not doing might have created unconscious behaviors that opened up the field, essentially.
Exactly.
Okay.
Any guilt at all, like if I don't think I'm pretty, if I don't think I'm enough, if I think any thought of separation, then I'm not connected to the creator. So the ultimate is, who am I as the creator? Who am I if I walk with the creator? Then what is possible? And it really is understanding that when we talk about love, we talked about this earlier, it's not human love. It's the love and trust of spirit. And it really is understanding that peace in my mind, peace then takes me to joy, takes me to love, takes me to essence, takes me to truth, takes me to isness. And that isness is not about departing from the world. When I see something that isn't there, what a lot of people forget, keep going, is forgiveness. It's a long answer. Forgiveness is one of the main tenets of the work. Forgiveness is not, I forgive you, Dad, for being a jerk. Forgiveness is a return to who I am without these thought systems. Forgiveness is, who am I, to the essence, not I, the character Divi, but the truth of who I am. And that's where miracles lie. Long answer.
Beautiful answer, though, because it opens up so many different textures to this. So let's say I've experienced peace, and my husband bothers me, and then I go to guilt. Oh, I should have been the I am, and I didn't get to I am, and now I'm frustrated that I am now judging myself for how I reacted. How do I get back to that frequency? What is the process of coming back so that I'm not bypassing that I felt guilty, I'm actually acknowledging that I felt that, right? Would forgiveness be the next step in the sequence?
And even go back a step further. So you react, so what? Do you get it? So you reacted, right? It's this never-ending journey, right? Of like, okay, he's acting like what humans would call a jerk. So if I even go deeper, if everything's a mirror, you're mirroring me, I'm mirroring you, then how is he a mirror to me? Right? That's where we go deeper, right? Of like, okay, my husband cut me off. Where am I cutting myself off? And that's not a bypassing, that's totally owning what's happening. And let's go back to what you said, I'm reacting. Why do I feel guilty? It's a reaction. So what? Right? It's a reaction. And what am I putting meaning to something? What I need to do in that minute. And it always goes back to forgiveness, because it goes from guilt. And just one sidebar, small sidebar, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
One common thing I see a lot of women do is we react, and maybe the reaction is frustration. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Or anger or annoyance?
Yeah, for sure.
And then we go to guilt, and probably some of your listeners have heard of this concept, but powerlessness and guilt and depression, anxiety are all about the same vibrational scale. Then anger is about midway up. Then joy and love are up here. We're afraid of anger, but anger is a really healthy emotion if expressed properly.
Yes.
We go to anger because we're pissed off because of what he did. Then we go to guilt, and we just keep doing the cycle. And that cycle is where we get sick. That cycle is where we get sick. And ultimately, keep going, we're going to keep going. Ultimately, when we connect with who we are in the I am consciousness, ultimately, when we let ourselves feel anger, okay, let myself feel anger. Oh, the only reason I'm angry is because I forgot I am the consciousness of love. Not love, flimsy love, but love of the eternal power of the Divine Mother. Love of the entire power of the energy that is the I am. Long answer.
So this is a game in your experience of forgetting, not judging, and coming back, just simply forgetting and remembering once again and once again. And in your experience, is that what truth is?
It's funny you use the word truth. When we talked before, use that expression, the truth is truth, and nothing else is the truth. The truth is truth and only the truth. That's the line from the Course. And when you said it on the phone, I was like, she studied the Course?
I did not study the Course in Miracles.
And that's a deep thinking of the Course. Is the truth is truth and only the truth is truth, but what you find is truth. According to the Course, the truth is the I am. The truth is the essence, not this.
Yes.
The essence, the place outside of the thought systems.
Outside of the thought systems. But here's my caveat. I'm living on this earth, regardless of if I am a construct of that, I guess I would be a construct of the ego, if you would, because to your point, God didn't create the earth. The ego essentially created this earth. So if I am a construct of this earth, then wouldn't true mastery be to honor the ego, live with the ego, be the ego? If I am a representation of this earth and earth is ego, then wouldn't I be in transcendence, if you will, if I am ego?
But that's the whole world we live in right now. All the pain out there is from the ego thought system.
So it already is in some ways.
It's always already living itself. Just look out the door.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
People get into spirituality to step outside that door. But the question I would challenge you with is, we're not this body. I mean, I'll probably be in an urn before you will, because I'm a bit older than you.
Well, I mean, hopefully. Love you, Divvy, but hopefully.
If I'm not defending this body, then what's the point? Like I became a doctor quite young. When I was 20, I was in the height of the AIDS epidemic. And so I was burying patients left, right, and center. And we're not in this body. Those souls visited me. How is that possible? Because I'm not in this body. The freedom is the mind. The mind is where I find free. The only thing that's real is my mind. The body is a projection from that mind.
The mind is the only thing that's real.
Because that's where I'm going to go back to when I die. When I leave this female physical construct.
Yes.
I return to the mind. The mind is the only thing that's real. And every thought I have is this experience.
So if the mind is the only thing that's real, then wouldn't the argument be that my ego is real? Isn't my ego my mind?
The ego is the mental habit of identifying.
Right? So it's not my mind. It's the identification.
Exactly.
It's the identification of, this is the microphone. You are Divvy. This is my situation.
Exactly. Versus the infinite mind, which is connected to the creator's mind, is the essence that we find in meditation. It's the essence. And that's the only way we heal traumas, is when we find that, yeah, sure, my body was hurt. That story existed. But the I of who I am is never hurt. The essence of who I am is never touched. And that's how you actually heal. And you can call that love, call it what you want.
So if I am reeking of cancer right now.
Go for it.
And I am in an extraordinary amount of physical pain, I might be able to touch. I am, from time to time. But that doesn't change that this physical body is in some way failing me. Did I fail me then? Did my mind, or let's call it my ego, did my ego fail me, which created this mirror in my physical experience, and my role in order to heal it is to exist in the bandwidth of love and joy despite what I'm feeling? Is that the process?
And the bigger one that is forgiveness. And one thing I would say is, I've helped a lot of people with cancer heal. It used to be not such a big deal when people would go to church. People like instant heal. Miracle is a shift from fear to love. That's all miracle is. And so we make it such a big deal. But if a miracle is not happening, something's gone wrong.
If a miracle is not happening, something has gone wrong.
A miracle is a natural expression of love. Now, let's go a bit deeper. If the body is riddled in cancer, I can either be in peace or not. But the Course talks about how the object is not the body. The object is the mind.
Yes.
So if I am riddled in cancer, but I'm in peace, hallelujah, dude. But if I'm so attached to healing my body, that's and the clients I've helped that have healed their third end stage cancer, they're not attached. They let go. They're like,
Is the detachment like, if I die today, so be it? Or is it, I created this, so there I can uncreate it? What is letting go to them?
it's because it's the second time you've said it, I create. So I tend to ease away from the idea that I created it because that creates blame, guilt, judgment.
Like, I was the one who
Right.
did it, so, ugh.
Exactly. And that, I think a lot of spiritual people end up in the mud pile with that one.
So true. Good point.
Right? Because they end up blaming and judging. The joke I always made is, oh, this is my unconscious. That's why I married. You know, I got this from my grandmother. Thank you, grandmother. Right? It's easier that
so
way.
true.
Right? It's so much easier. I got this from my culture. It's their fault. It's a joke. But, you know,
It's so true.
when we personalize it, we end up just in the muck. Right? So rather than saying, I did something wrong, cool. This is a fear statement. Do I trust love? Am I really willing to relinquish this fear? The true act of forgiveness is what heals. And, you know, eventually become a forgiveness junkie. And you end up, you know, really, the primary emotions become gratitude and forgiveness. Gratitude for all of this experience of the divine, and forgiveness for the thought that I was anything but that.
I love that part that you shared, forgiveness, that I'm anything but that, because we look at the world right now, and I think depending on what we feel really moved by, and we could probably debate that forever, like what are the reasons that we're motivated by certain things, pulled back from other things, what are the soul contracts of it, but that the piece that is really resonant for me is how we navigate the state of the world and what is our role in it. Some people would say, I feel like I'm here to feel the pain, feel the creation of that cancer, and in doing that, sending love to it, and in that it will transmute. Some people might say, you know, I feel really connected to what's happening in the environment right now, and activism is the way for me. But sometimes activism can come because I'm going against the way that people have created it. And I'm afraid even potentially of what could happen. And so I'm kind of an activist because I'm reactive to what we've created. And you can see how that can even create a perpetual. So we look at the world right now, and we look at how it is reeking of ego. What is the truth to support a new earth? Is that a philosophy you hold? A better world, a healthier world? What is your philosophy on how we navigate the world right now? Hey there, it's me, V. So, as you can imagine, this is my first podcast. And so I'm learning all of these new ropes. And did you know how important ratings were? I didn't. I had absolutely no idea. And I'm so thankful for the support of my team for reminding me of how important having your ratings, your honest reflection of the podcast, how much that benefits us. So I'm that annoying person in the middle of everyone else's episodes that I fast forward that hopefully you're listening to right now. And if you've got 30 seconds, it would mean the absolute world to us if you could take a moment and just rate this podcast, give it a thumbs up, share it with your bestie that you want to go head to head with, so we can continue to spread this message, debate about the truth, find what the truth is, and have the kinds of conversations that truly help us awaken in integrity. All right, back to the episode.
It really is up to each of us to work on our minds,
Okay.
find more peace.
Yep.
Like Nelson Mandela taught us that, right? I can find peace no matter what. And if I'm willing to find peace, then what happens? And when I look at the external world and I call it wrong, I'm essentially forming an attack. An attack thought is any form of judgment on anything else. This person just represents something in me.
Yeah.
Right? That separation from our creator is a form of guilt. And then what we do is we go attack to get rid of that guilt. That's what we do. So if we're creating a new earth, each of us are working on our minds to find the true essence of love, where I see myself as you, you see myself as you, and we're actually all the divine incarnations of spirit. And then we're living in that higher essence. of what our inner calling is of truth.
I resonate with aspects of this. And I'm curious how our listeners are feeling at this point about this, because the ones who are aware of me might say, well, yeah, but V, you're a clairvoyant, and what you see attached to people's energies, what you see that in some ways does have a meaning.
Sure.
For example, if you reincarnated into a bloodline where there was a significant curse on your bloodline, if you and I sat here all day and you were like, I'm cursed, well, that would obviously not be the right energy. But if you had the acknowledgement that spiritually you came here to be free of these attachments, if you will, then we would have to clear that. There would be a part of you that would need to remove these aspects in order to be free. And so in my world, there's work to be done to actually remove these attachments. It's not just necessarily in the mind. When we start talking about the spirit, a lot of us have been in these reincarnation loops on this particular planet to try to maybe come back to divine love. If you think about it, like the way that I energy heal is through the frequency of love. I see the truth. Clairvoyantly, I see where the attachments are, and I remove them so they can come back to ultimate truth. But that doesn't change the fact that I have to find the truth, the ultimate truth, on a spiritual level, remove the attachments, not on their mind, but actually on a mind, body, soul level, and then their natural energy comes forward. So I think my philosophy on what's happening in the world is a karmic cycle that a lot of people have been in. And I do believe that people need to process. And I think that there's a fine line between processing and sabotaging and processing and evolving. But I think we really need to feel it in order to be able to heal it. And that may look like I incarnated in a generational curse, not overly identified with the fact that I'm a curse breaker, but acknowledging that that's in my vibration. That was something that I came here to break free from. And so I'm curious where you stand on that. As an energy healer, I can't deny that that's a part of the truth, that if we are here to experience the remembrance and then the forgetfulness and the remembrance that we are divine love, sometimes people hit that threshold no matter what they try to access, and that's usually when there's something spiritual that they're caught in that actually does need to be disconnected and processed.
So I've got a few layers to that.
Bring it on.
So I'm also very clairvoyant. It's a big part of my business. And
I love that, Divvy.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go, girl.
Okay, and everything is thought. So if I go in to work with a client and I'm insistent that they have an attack on them, then I am actually looking for it.
Okay.
Versus if I go in with a client, I'm like, what is the thought in you? So if you think that you're cursed, that thought of being cursed, you come from a family of origin. I come from a family of origin where it's in my culture that we all sacrifice as women. That's huge in my culture, huge. And we sacrifice as women because the men are more important, and then that makes us important. So thereby that's a form of a curse that I've taken on.
Right.
True?
Yep.
But you remember how we talked about the creator and then the ego is guilt, that separation? It's just taking that guilt and put it on me and said, you're cursed. So I can theoretically, if I can get to the bottom of that client's thought system and truly forgive the guilt of separation, then that entity, that attack can leave. Because it's just a vibrational match to that thought system. And I've seen it tons of times. And it can leave because the divine is in charge. Often, when you play poker and you're like, I got a better hand than you have. Not that I don't play poker. But they often say that the hand of God or the creator, that hand will always win. The hand of love. And our only job is to identify that one little thought. It took me 40-something years to identify the thought that I had to sacrifice. That's a long time.
That's a lot of sacrifices that you identified with.
I watched my mother do it her whole life, but I didn't put two and two together. But then I finally gave that up. A lot of my mid-back pain went away. I'm like, oh, my lordy. And if I went and saw somebody, they would say I had an attack on my mid back. Cool. What's the attack from? Take it off of me. But if you don't tell me what my unconscious is doing, I'm going to keep looping there.
So that actually goes to my point I was going to ask you, because let's say client comes in and doesn't know that they have a curse.
Right.
Just says, my low back.
Right.
When you see, do you still go in and say, what is the truth? Because that's what I do. If someone says to me, hey, V, I think I have an entity attachment, I'll be like, okay, well, let's let the truth bring it forward, right? And that's really all that it is. Regardless of what they think it is, ultimately the truth will reveal it. Is that very similar to?
Similar and a bit different. I work more from the thought systems, right? It's like, okay, so I will, when I'm looking at a client's lower back, I will hear a question like, what's your fear of moving forward? And then through I call it pulling the thread, asking the questions. But when I'm asking the question, that curse is being released. Do you get it? Because that client is moving her energy up to love. But I don't have to go in and take it off of her. It's just like, what is the story? And then when they pull the story, then everything starts to shift. Everything starts to shift. Everything starts.
So how do we release the collective story so we can come back to love?
We don't, it's not like 100% of people have to do it, but the more and more of us that do it, the more that will shift.
We will shift
the whole planetary conscious. But it really is one person shifting it shifts thousands more.
So true. I agree with that.
Do you get it? And yes, it's like massive. It's got goosebumps everywhere. But it has to be our willingness that, when our husband comes home and we attack back, then we go to guilt. Oh, let me forgive them. Let me forgive them. Oh, honey, I love you.
Wait.
That's the work every day. But it's not from this complacent love and light. Yes. I got to work through my crap. And then what I often find as a married person, congratulations, by the way, ahead of time, it's his work too. When I attack back and then pull back and apologize, he comes to the table and says, you know what? Maybe I did overstep. Cool. I don't have to say anything. I just have to pull back my attack and give you space.
Yes.
Figure out your stuff.
So for you, you do still feel to heal. It's just the way that you feel
100%.
is being able to acknowledge the thought form that is creating that reactivity and being
100%.
Courageous enough, calm enough to be able to identify it, to forgive it, to let it go.
100%. I wasn't I think at a certain point of our development, we actually know our patterns quite well. It's like, oh, there's that pattern. Oh, and you can come to this neutrality with your pattern.
Yes.
Right? Which is so fun. Oh, look, I'm being an idiot right now.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, look, I think I suck. I did a podcast the other day. It was a big one. Lots of people, lots of live people. And I was being very, And I watched the speaker before me and after me. They were very calm. I was like, oh, God. Screwed that one up. I got an email from the organizer the next day saying, that was amazing. Would you like to be on this other bigger one? I'm like, cool. But I was my normal vibrational, like not pretending to be this super, Zen person. Yes. But I watched the thought come in from the imposter saying, you sucked. And I just looked at it and laughed. It's like, interesting. And so it's that degree of letting yourself feel the, ooh, and then, oh, what is this? Oh, there's that. And that takes time to get to that place where you identify.
Yeah, because in some ways, like, we've gotten really good at accepting that suffering is our true state.
Oh, Jesus Christ, I know.
Right? It's so much easier to be like, oh, I'm actually way more comfortable assuming that I did suck than it was to be like, actually, I was honest to myself.
Yes.
What else can I do? Like, I did the best I could. And what a different experience it would have been if the calm person, went before you. Right? What a completely different experience. It's so hard for us to stay curious about the story that we have because in some ways, I think we've kind of become addicted to the reality that we're living in, where it is hard. There's always something to overcome. We always need that, I guess, that guilt. And I love that you brought that word in because then if I feel guilty, I'm going to work double as hard to try to, and then I'll continue to stay in that vibration where I'm continuously sick. And then I'll validate the part of me that knew I was going to get sick anyway because everything's so hard. And then I feel guilty about the fact that it's so hard.
And I used to work as a physician. We would see it all the time. There's this powerlessness energy that medicine just feeds into. And it's almost like, and usually more women, there's a higher percentage of women in health that are unhealthy than men, at least up until about 50 or 60. More women are patients than men. That's statistically studied. And the reason, the thinking from a metaphysical standpoint is the women get used to getting attention from feeling powerless.
Wow.
Insane. And certain cultures do that. My culture does it.
That is fascinating. Do you think, what shifts after 50 then?
What for as to why men?
Yeah.
It's more that metaphysically, in my world, the thought systems make you sick. So eventually the men, their thought systems catch up to them, and then they just, right? So, but prior to that, what I typically used to find is the women were the majority of the patients, regardless of what practice I worked in. And a lot of it was, it's not a conscious attention seeking.
Yes.
It's like, their experience is this, and they need help, and nothing wrong.
Yeah.
But it's, experience.
Is that why men get big red Corvettes at 50 and start dating 20-year-olds, and then, they like sleep with the person in their office? God forbid that doesn't actually continue to happen. But they go through like that really significant midlife crisis where now suddenly they realize they didn't amount to what they, wanted to be. And at this point, the woman has felt unconsciously unheard, unseen, disrespected, and then the attention creates the discord and the perfect, imperfect life of the person kind of caught in this ego world we live in.
Well, because it's the men who are traditionally go out to make the money. Yeah. So that's where they get their validation, right? I made the money, you have your car. I see it all the time. And then they go marry their yoga teacher, and then they... That's what all my 50-year-old men say. I want to marry my yoga teacher. And then the wife ends up mad, and
it's a whole thing. And then it's like, well, whatever. If you're going to have a person, then I'm going to flirt with the cute guy at the gym. And next thing you know, we both have misters and mistresses, and our kids will clean that up later, right?
Basically.
I do feel like we're speaking the same language.
I do too.
I really do. And the topic of today was, what is the most powerful vibration on earth? Is it truth or is it love? And so I do want to clarify with you. Truth is, in your opinion, the most powerful vibration on earth.
And if we define truth, truth is love. Truth is essence. Truth is outside of thought. Truth is the I am.
I define truth as being inside of a multidimensional galactic war beyond just Earth. I believe we've been inside of a war of vibration. That's the way I see it. I see it's been a karmic regurgitation on Earth where ego has been the predominant frequency. And I believe that we are coming more into the frequency of love. I believe that the organic essence of who we are is being reharmonized. But I think we have to know that we are inside of a very intricate system where there is very real hijacking, unconscious hijacking of these lower thought forms, also of us coming into our visibility, our remembrance of the I am. A lot of times, I'm curious if you've seen this, people who start to get better, start to access these frequencies, something pulls them back. Once they start to access so sometimes it's about actually being able to open and spread your light, and then sometimes things pull you back. Right. And so I believe the truth is that we are on a planet that has a very intricate hijacking system that has been, in some ways, controlling our ability to have access to this frequency. I believe we're coming into that true frequency. But first, I feel we got to understand this. Because without understanding this, then we continue to be unconscious to the truth. And then if that's the case, then I think we continue to stay in the hijacking system.
I like some things really simple. I like things really, really simple. So when you really think is that the ego is the mental habit of labeling. And in fact, if I went a bit deeper, I know I'm in an ego thought system if I'm talking a lot and trying to explain myself a lot. Okay? Like when I stare at a waterfall and I'm watching the sunrise and having a cup of tea, there's no words. I'm the essence. I'm in the now. I'm in the holy instant. And so I like things very simple. So the ego thought system, I said this to a client the other day. If she spent 21 days not labeling, she was in her stuff. She's like, I don't know what to do. And I said, okay, let's do 21 days where you write down every mental identification of labeling and of identifying. Yeah. She did it for like 4 days. She was like, I am free. And it was just wild because she was in it. Right? And so I like things simple. I'm a simple.
I love it.
And if what if healing is that simple? What if we were talking earlier of all the spiritual smorgasbord of all these different things? Well, what if there's a simplicity to it all that we've all forgotten?
I agree with that.
We've forgotten that our essence is peace and joy, that this body is temporary, that I am, no words, just is. What if there's a simplicity?
I agree. And I like complexity.
I can tell.
Not because I want to make it more complex, but because the deeper I understand, the deeper I see. And the deeper I see, the deeper I understand. And I see where these dissonances and resonances are trying to find balance. I can see it in the world. I can see it in myself, where I want to hold more of this frequency and some of those guilt. Like I can see the resistance versus the is trying to find what that perfect dance is. And the complexity, I think, matters to be understood, not to be identified with, but to be understood, so we can truly navigate this ego plane that is trying to find harmony, in the same way that it's like, well, I have to understand, not identify, but understand what were some of the threads that happened in my lineage that created this particular thought form that I have. Not just, well, it is, I am, so in forgiving that, it lets go. In understanding it, I become understanding of it, I see it, and from that, it releases. So I wonder, I'm curious what our audience thinks. Is it a both and?
I would say it's a both and I think a lot of people can get stuck in staying in
100%.
figuring it out.
Yes.
Because I would agree that, to a certain point, I had to figure out, why is it that women are looked down at? Why is it that we have arranged marriages? Why is it that we're less than? Why is it that
Yes, yes.
right? And then at a certain point, it was like, okay, I got it. Now what? Right? And I think what we were talking about earlier is sometimes in the spiritual world, we can spend so much time in the figuring it out and totally resist joy. Totally resist peace. Totally resist, and because we're going to the next ceremony, to the next journey, to the next trauma pulling. And we're ignoring peace. We're ignoring is. We're ignoring love. We're ignoring that we have the power of the divine in us. That power is so powerful. And you know how I talked about, just side tangent, we come from a creator, then crazy mad idea what it's like to be in a human body, that created guilt, that created the whole world. And that's what we're addicted to. Sometimes I think, if this energy of separation, as it's called, created this world, what is this energy of the creator? It must be friggin' powerful. So if separation created all this insanity, what is this energy that we are avoiding so much? That power isness of who I am.
It can be scary, I think, to see the world for what it is, forgive it for what it is as best as one can, try and then let go, and try and let go, depending on what stings more to look at, I guess, than others, what feels easier. And to exist in this world as love when there's so much fear sometimes feels like I'm walking outside naked right now and everybody's hanging out on their phone, hating their lives. You can feel the vibration. It's like I feel a little bit exposed. So will you walk me through how you walk in the world as you are now, seeing what you see in the world, know what you know about the world as the beautiful divine expression that you are?
So if I'm going through my day and I'm watching people be very miserable, I have to see that everything's a mirror. They are me, I am them. So if they're being miserable, that's a reflection of a miserable thought in me. So how can I be of greatest assistance to a stranger who's walking by me? Is to forgive the thought of misery, because it must reflect something in me. And from that place of forgiveness, bring in the Archangel realm, bring in the Divine Mother, and hold love, and basically not to see their pain, but seeing them in their divine essence of truth where they're not in pain. And hold that. And how often I can do that, up to me, right? Because these eyes, they talk about how the senses, the eyes, the ears, the nose, the mouth, they are the ego senses.
Okay.
Which, as a clairvoyant, will help us to really understand, okay, if I am seeing pain how do I start to shift and actually see through the eyes of the creator? The eyes of the creator know it's one thought that needs to shift, because everything comes down to thought. Wayne Dyer used to say that 40 to 60,000 thoughts a day, and every thought is manifestation. Can't be sloppy. But going back to your question, how can I see this person for their true essence, even though they're miserable in this moment?
See people for what they really are,
Exactly.
not what they've identified.
And that impact energetically is huge. Because let me say it this way. You might have kids one day. I have a 20-year-old. Well, does he want me to see him as miserable and depressed or as his possibility?
Right.
No difference whether it's my kid or somebody I don't know's kids who's walking by me right now.
Yes.
That is the power that we.
Wasn't it so true that really what all a child wants is for their parent to be proud of them? You know, the weight of "I'm so proud of you" moves us so much more than "here's what you did wrong, here's how you could do better." I grew from a lot of constructive criticism being in performance, but that one little "I'm so proud of you" from my parent was like, yes, like nothing else matters. This is the most gratifying, validating feeling. So I see what you're saying, that the way that we see people in the world, we want to see them in what's possible and the pure potentiality of who they really are, and how that frequency changes the way that we engage with them. Also, I would assume that it changes the way that they feel in receiving you. Like you gave them permission. You know, I navigate the world like it's the last time I'm ever going to see somebody. Like if this is the last time I ever get to see you, I want to feel like I just had the most extraordinary time with Dr. Divi, and I hope that I left an imprint of kindness, of play, of compassion, of thoughtfulness, of kindness, like really, truly of kindness. And that's the way that I think that we should be walking through the world right now, knowing that everybody bleeds red and everybody is navigating things we don't know. But to your point, if what I feel is misery from them, notice that that's a part of the unconsciousness that has created this realm. Acknowledge it, forgive it, let it go, and then open up my heart to the possibility of their divinity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that way we spread more love, so to speak. You know, they talk about in the Course that salvation is the way. Forgiveness is salvation. My function is forgiveness.
Yes.
That is my function. Taught to teachers like Marianne Williamson, Wayne Dyer when he was on the planet. That was the motto all the time. You know, some days I'm in it, some days I'm not. I don't beat myself up.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, right?
Yes.
Somebody cuts me off in traffic. I look at, how was that a mirror to me? Oh yeah, I'm in a rush. Let me forgive the thought that I have to be in a rush. Like it's just like day to day, moment to moment, right? Be really simple.
Yeah, just simply, I love to say like, let go and let God, you know? It's like, it is, everything will be as it's meant to be. And we're such small nothings and everything simultaneously. And so what's the point? I think is something to take with us, is like, what's the point of holding on to all the things that we're holding on to? Yeah.
Yeah, it's stunning because I used to work as a doctor, I used to see patients, you know, that would be about to die. And often they would say, I remember diagnosing a woman in her 60s with cancer. And first thing she said to me when she looked at me when I told her, I'll never forget it. She said, it's because I've stayed angry at my son.
Wow.
And she was Asian. I literally like crumbled to my knees. And on some level, she wanted to let that agitation go. And she knew it impacted her body, right? Because all we want is kindness. And we know when things aren't going that way, then something needs to shift.
Thank you for sharing that. I can almost feel that exhale that came out of her when she said that. Like she knew. And I wonder if we're so smart and we play so dumb. We know the things that keep us exactly where we are. And yet we're so afraid to let it go because we're afraid to let God, you know? Why do you think we're so afraid to let go of what we inherently know, because we all got that intuition in us, like you say, right? We all got that intuition, and we all know, leave that person. They're not supportive. It's not the right time. Don't force it. Why don't we let that?
A lot of it's the ego, but it's the addiction to fear. It's what Marianne Williamson says. Our greatest fear is not that we're not good enough. Our greatest fear is the power.
Powerful beyond measure. Yeah.
Exactly. It's that love that we're most afraid of. Right?
It's so true.
It's
so true. I had this fear yesterday. I had a mentorship call with one of my mentors, and I said, I have no fear right now. But you know what's funny? My fear's trying to come in to tell me that I should be afraid, that I'm not afraid.
Wow.
It's like, no, we should be worried about this. Historically speaking, we have been afraid, but everything's so good. What do you mean? Life is so good. How could I possibly? But wait. You got to be careful. Like, we can expand and then instantly minimize to try to almost anticipate or prepare ourselves from the potential of disappointment.
The other shoe dropping kind of conversation.
Yeah.
I know. It's such a habit of the ego thought system.
Yes.
To resist the love and gratitude. You know, another great technique, just gratitude. Gratitude for the essence of spirit. Gratitude for this moment. Gratitude I get to hang out with you. Right? Gratitude that this is such a cool space. Gratitude,
Yes.
Gratitude you're getting married. Like gratitude for the love that you've had a chance to experience. That's so beautiful.
Yes.
Right? I can spend there, or when's the other shoe going to drop? My choice.
Yeah, we spent 30 minutes trying to get this thing set up. Now this episode has to be 10 times better because I'm frustrated. Instead, we just sat here and we laughed and we had a good time and we trusted that whatever was meant to be was going to be, but that this conversation we knew was going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I think it was.
It's amazing.
I have had an extraordinary time chatting with you. You're a brilliant woman. And I knew, I had a feeling about you, about our conversation. And I feel like we touched on all of the deepest pieces that I wanted to acknowledge. Is there anything that you feel particularly called to share that you would love people to know about the power of love? Yeah, please.
Two things. First off, I want to thank you. You're amazing at what you do, so thank you.
Thank you.
Two things. One is, I'm not sure if one of your other podcasts will bring this up, but now is the rise of the feminine and the divine mother. And that goes to the second thing. The divine mother sees us as sinless.
Sees us as sinless.
Pure innocent.
Yes.
The innocent child of love. And if we could be more in that energy, oh my God.
Yes.
How the world would change. Those are my two things.
Doesn't Jesus talk about it is better for a child, more likely for a child to get through to the kingdom of heaven than a rich person?
Nailed it.
Right? It's like, let's bring back that childlike essence. What a gift it is to be here.
That childhood innocence, which we all have.
Amen. Well, thank you, Dr. Divvy. I appreciate you so much. And now I'm curious, what do you all think? Is the most powerful frequency in the world truth or love? Well, guess we'll have to find out. Let us know.